So I'm going to make moules mariniere. That's something my father would make. And it's very, very easy. And I know people are always telling me, oh, it's easy. But it's true that it's easy, not just for me. So you'll need like a tomato. And what I have here too is like 2 bags of mussels. I don't really know like how many pounds. Maybe it's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds. 1 leek and garlic and butter. So if you don't have the tomato, you can take like already like diced tomatoes, but you're gonna drain them. But I like fresh tomatoes. So I just put this tomato in boiling water just for like 10 seconds. So I can peel it. And the reason why I peel it is that this is gonna break into little pieces of skin that you're gonna have all over. And I mean, it doesn't look pretty, and I don't think it's that important in the taste of the dish. Then I cut the tomato and I take a little bit of the seeds out so I don't have that much juice in it. And that's why sometimes, like, what's good too, you could take 2 Italian tomatoes. They're a little more meaty and and a little less juicy. So you want to mostly be stuck with meat, tomato meat. Then I just chop it. And it doesn't need to be like this precise dice, just so bite size. Because what's going to be nice when the dish is cooked, you're going to have like little pieces of tomato you can grab with your bread. So here I have my tomatoes. Then I have my leeks, what's really important with leeks is you have to make sure they're clean, because the worst thing that can happen, you make a dish and then it's like, it's gritty, you have like sand in your mouth. So take the time just to clean it. So those are nice and clean. I cut them just like in little half moon. And then I put them, what you do, you put them in water, let them sit a little bit, and then don't dump the bowl into your strainer, because then you're gonna have the sand on top. So you just grab them, let all the sediment fall down, and then grab your leeks and put them in the strainer, and it smells so delicious. You could do it also with onions, but somehow I like the way like the leeks are delicate. So now I'm gonna also take garlic, and the garlic you can put as much as you want. So this is my little trick. When I first was in restaurant and I would help the chef, I would peel the garlic like this. And he was like, "What are you doing?" So he showed me this little trick of just with the blade of your knife, and then it just peels off. And it doesn't matter that it's crushed, because you're gonna crush it anyways. And because I'm lazy, I'm gonna use a garlic press. So I'm doing this in a way also you can have all this prepared maybe an hour before and set it aside, and then because this is a dish that's gonna cook like really fast, so when you're ready, you just put it together. Now the mussels, they're farm raised, and I remember when I was a child, we had like to de-beard them, which now they're pretty much clean when you buy them, but I'll try to find one to show you. I'm still gonna give them a rinse really quickly. These are like lobster, they're live animals. So you don't wanna put them, like submerge them in water and wait like an hour. So the way I have them, they need to breathe, to leave them in your fridge until they're ready to use. That's the best way to do it. And if you submerge them, you're gonna drown them. They live in the mud. So, and also it's salt water that they're used to, and we have tap water with all kinds of chemical and things in it. So here we have this little hair that I take out, but sometimes they're like much bigger, and that's what you call like de-bearding the mussel. These are fairly clean. So I think what I'll have to do, you go and take them one by one, inspect them, rinse them. sometimes, you know, in the process, that's what you want to buy a little more. In the process, sometimes the shell will be broken, so that's a mussel that you're going to throw out. And if they're all closed, that means they're nice and fresh. And the trick also with mussel is that whatever one you're going to have after you cook it, if they're not open, you don't force them, you just toss them. That means they're not good, but that's not going to spoil your dish. So now I'm going to wash them and give them a little rinse. So I'm doing this like fairly fast. I don't want to drown them. Okay, now we have all our ingredients. So I have my garlic, and this one, because I like garlic, I put 3 cloves, but again, you can put less, you can put more. I mean, I wouldn't recommend putting like a ton, but a little more if you like garlic. I've got my tomatoes, the leeks, and the wine. And the thing with wine, I mean, don't put wine you wouldn't drink in your dish. I mean, you don't want to put like a $200 bottle or an $80 bottle, but you want something that's mid-range. So it's going to have some flavor, and you can have a little glass while you're cooking. And butter. I love butter. For this dish, if you could do oil, but I like butter because it's got like a little creaminess. And also, doing that dish, you can finish the dish with cream if you want to, and because I choose not to, that's why, you know, also I'm putting the butter. And you've noticed I don't have any salt and pepper. You don't want to put salt because the natural juice that are in the mussel already have salt, and you'll be amazed. I know, like, sometimes you're like, oh, I feel like I should season it, but you'll be amazed it's going to be salty naturally, and it's better to add it afterwards than have your whole dish ruined. So I'm melting about like 2.5 tablespoons of butter. The important thing too, like now that I'm thinking of it, is the size of your container that your stock pot that you're going to use, because you're going to want to be able to move the mussels. So if you go with something too small, you're going to have like mussels all over the place. They're not going to kind of cook evenly when you mix them. So you might have like mussels on top that don't open, some at the bottom that are going to be maybe like a little too rubbery to cook, and the one on top like raw. Okay, so now it's nice and foamy. Okay, and I put in my garlic, and I'm going to stir it. I don't want to burn it, so I'm going to stir it, you know, like just a few seconds so it just gets fragrant. And I'm throwing in my leeks. I'm going to throw in my tomatoes. And the thing that's great with this too, like you could stop this here if you wanted to. Like if you have a lot of guests coming, or you want to serve that maybe as a first course, you stop it there and then put it aside and then do whatever it is that you have to do. And then when your guest comes and it's ready to be served, because that dish goes so fast, then you can take this pan, just reheat it, and then go with the next step that I'm going to do. And now the mussels. So I'm putting the mussels in, and then I'm going to just see how important it is. If my pan was this, I wouldn't be able to turn them. So I'm turning them so they get nicely coated. And already you can see there's a little bit of juice coming out already. I didn't put all this juice. Like you see a little bit of juice there. And I have like 2/3 cup of wine that I'm throwing in. And then I'm gonna put the cover on, and I don't know, like it's gonna take like maybe 10-15 minutes. Like they're gonna get steam and they're gonna open up. Maybe in 10 minutes we'll check to see if they open up. If not, you can give it another little stir, because the one at the bottom obviously are gonna open before the one on the top, and then the dish will be ready. And in the meantime, what you can do, I mean, this is really great with a crusty bread, so you can put a baguette in the oven, or just have like big slices of chunky bread in the toaster while you do this. So maybe I can do that. So I think it's nice to have like some kind of a country bread, like something nice that's gonna sop up all the juice. So I'm gonna put a few in the toaster. So I'm gonna chop like about a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of fresh parsley. Please don't use dry parsley. Use fresh parsley, please. So then you look at them, and I see like they're mostly open. So I just give them one last little stir. They're beautiful. They're plump. And then you can turn it off. Like the rest of the steam's gonna just finish like the 2 or 3 that didn't open. So then they're nice and ready. Some of them also will fall off, escape their shell, and that's okay. And then you take parsley. And the thing is, this is like so, like something like really wholesome. You can just bring this on the table if you want to, or just transfer it in a big platter, or just serve it in individual bowls. So I'm just like serving the mussels. And then this is what's really great. It's the juice that you want to pour a little bit, like you'll have at the bottom. So you'll need 2 spoons to serve it, like one to dig the mussel and a ladle to get the juice. Another thing that's really important, I don't know if it's just my family or it's the French, but it's nice to eat, like you don't eat like at the edge of the counter, like, and wolf down the food and eat this as fast food. You're gonna set, like I like to eat with like the tablecloth and napkins, and then you just like sit down and relax, and it's like gathering together. And that's always been important in my family. Even my mother was like, you know, we have time to put a tablecloth on the table. Just have a little bit of linen, ground, you know, like kind of ground yourself, sit down, eat, and it's a time like you can all gather together. That's the other thing. In French, they have like an hour lunch. This is a little trick to eat mussels. Like if you don't want to use a fork, you use one of your little shell and use it as a little tweezer.